Why was there doubt surrounding UGA's running backs this offseason? Obviously, James Cook and Zamir White off to the NFL. Kenny McIntosh and Kendall Milton primed to be a pretty good duo. Dejan Edwards is not to be messed with. I really like the freshman Branson Robinson. I think he brings a lot to the table. But, and this is not everybody because some people didn't feel this way. I'm not generalizing. But some people, and I would say a lot of people, thought there was going to be just this big drop off with the running backs, with James and Zamir being gone. A little bit of doubt that Kenny and Kendall could be quite as good as them. For me, I didn't feel that way. I definitely think that James Cook's absence matters a lot on the field. I think Zamir's absence mattered a lot in the locker room, and he was productive for Georgia. I mean, almost 1,000 yards last season, a lot of touchdowns at the goal line, but there was a level of doubt, and we saw what the running backs were capable of against Oregon. Kenny McIntosh just caught over 100 yards, 117 yards, had the rushing touchdown. Kendall Milton had a rushing and a receiving touchdown. And Dejan Edwards looked pretty good. I think he's shifty, and I think he can really break a tackle for being someone that's so small in stature, height-wise at least. So what was the doubt about? I want to try to dissect that a little bit. Ryan Keller from DAWGSTRUCTION here talking about Georgia's running back room. We talked about him a little bit this offseason. We're going to continue to talk about all these position groups for you. Make sure you're checking out DAWGSTRUCTION Insider book and images and stories that you're not going to find anywhere else about Georgia's 2021 championship season. Some of the images in there, a lot of them actually, taken by yours truly. So make sure you check that out if you want to see. This image was taken by Dean with Kendall Milton and Kenny McIntosh. But what was the doubt with those guys? I don't get it. Okay? And I think the doubt's probably somewhat gone, but okay, well, Zamir had 856 yards and nine rushing touchdowns. James Cook had 728 rushing touchdowns, had the 4 receiving touchdowns, 728 yards, and he had 4 receiving touchdowns. So production was gone. Here's an interesting thing that I want to put out there. All these Georgia running backs have been great the last 15 years, right? But why was there extra doubt this time around towards Kenny and Kendall when Zamir and James go? Because Zamir and James, out of all of the duos of the last 10 years, were probably the worst one. And that's not even like that. That's not a roast. But give me Chubb and Michelle. I would even take Swift and Holyfield over them. Keith Marshall, Todd Gurley. I'd rather have those guys. And Zamir White and James Cook are excellent, and they're NFL running backs, but probably would be my last choice of duo out of all those guys. Todd and Chubb, that combination was your best combination as far as talent. So Isaiah Crowell was better than them, probably. So why when they leave, and why when they leave is there just doubt all of a sudden that Georgia, the RBU, what's going on? To me, it didn't make sense. Kenny McIntosh has been really good this entire time. Very efficient with his touches in a reserve role for 3 years. All right, one of his first touches, it might have been his first, but I don't think it was his first, but one of his first touches in college football was like a 50-something yard touchdown against Murray State, Arkansas State. Man, it was 3 years ago, but you know what I'm talking about, where he juked and go. It was his freshman year. It was one of the first home games. And he's been efficient. He's been a game changer. He was the one that threw the touchdown pass to A.D. Mitchell. He was in the Orange Bowl. He's been on the field, long touchdowns before. Kendall Milton, everyone was so hyped about his talent. But then when Kenny and Kendall are supposed to be the feature guys, there seems to be a level of doubt that didn't make sense to me, because to me, Zamir and James aren't as difficult to replace as like Nick Chubb and Sonny Michel. You know what I mean? And it's zero hate for James and Zamir. They're both excellent. I think James Cook will be a pretty good NFL back, and I think it looks like Zamir White is RB2 for the Raiders. And Zamir meant a lot to the program. He really did. He meant a lot. It sucks to see the way that the injuries went for him. But focusing on the current guys, they're not less capable. I mean, Kenny McIntosh has an opportunity here, all right, with the way he started. Kendall Milton has his first true opportunity to show what he's got. I mean, yeah, he was a reserve and, has been dealing with injuries. It's Kendall's time, too. And Dejon Edwards is finally seen as more than the fifth string running back. All right, he's the third guy, and man, he's pretty good. All right, Kendall Milton said the Georgia linebackers fear him the most. I think Georgia's running back room is fine. Branson Robinson has a lot of hype. Andrew Paul, the freshman that did really well during spring and fall camp, or at least fall camp, had a lot of momentum. Tears his ACL. That's sad. He'll have his opportunity again next offseason to get that momentum. And at the moment, I don't think Georgia has a 2023 running back lined up. Alabama took at least one of those guys. So for me, I think that they're fine as far as running back goes. Next year is more cause for concern for me because I think they're going to lack extreme depth unless they go to the transfer portal or sign one of those guys or flip one of those guys. So to me, next year's more of a concern. But this year, Kenny McIntosh is capable. He is good enough. He was a high 4-star, right? He was a 4-star guy from Florida. Are we caught up on the stars with him? I mean, Kendall Milton was a guy that they recruited over Tank Bigsby. So I don't think we're getting caught up with the stars with them. And maybe it's just because we haven't seen as much as them that there was doubt. A lot of that doubt got erased when you watch the Oregon game. People probably didn't think the same thing that they did before after they watched Kenny McIntosh go for 117 yards. They watched Kendall Milton score a couple times. I need to see a little bit more from Kendall Milton. I've always leaned on the Kenny McIntosh side. I know a lot of Kendall Milton guys. If I wanted one of those guys to start my franchise, I'd pick Kendall Milton over I would pick Kenny McIntosh over Kendall Milton. I've been more of a Kenny guy these last couple of years. I feel like I've been a Kenny McIntosh truther. I think he's really good. I don't think he's gonna have the best running back season of all time for Georgia, but I think he's gonna have a pretty good season, guys. Something that, from a receiving standpoint, we may see. I mean, A.D. Mitchell yesterday told us, "Hey, just get the ball in that guy's hands." Ladd McConkey said something similar last week. And apparently Kenny McIntosh had one of the best camps for all those players. And Malachi Starks did the same thing. That's why he's playing. The camps matter. McIntosh did very well. And I think the Georgia running back room is fine. I think it's in a good spot. Next year, more cause for concern. But right now, I think that they're fine. And you're going to see them used in a variety of ways this year. You're going to see Kenny run the ball a little bit more. I think the offense is dynamic. And part of it is because of those running backs. See you at the site dawgpost.com. Make sure you're checking out DAWGSTRUCTION. Make sure you're checking out all of our links at DAWGPOST on social media. See you there.